This is the Blue Mountains, and that is the Three Sisters. And to just keep you in suspense, we have a very special guest here today who is going to give you his interpretation of the Three Sisters. But I'm not going to tell you anything else. It's just very special. But here we are in the Jamison Valley. That's Mount Solitary. So the Three Sisters is there. Mount Solitary is that cluster, that big sandstone plateau in the middle of the valley. And if you look just a little bit closely between that big plateau, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little cluster of rocks as you go right directly ahead of us, and that's called, if you can probably zoom in on your device, and you'll be able to see what we call the ruined castle. It's a bushwalk you can do, which takes about 5 hours. Not for the faint-hearted. We're just kicking off now. Thank you. And I think Sam and Jax just came in as well. Welcome. So we're in the Blue Mountains National Park, and I just wanted to say the beautiful thing about doing a virtual tour like this is that it's actually happening right now, wherever you are in the world. It's 4 p.m. here. Okay. If it's 4 p.m. here, and in beautiful Jamison Valley, and it's raw, it's real, there's no editing, there's no second take. It is just happening right now live. And that's what we're hoping to get from this. And there's going to be like questions, and you can ask, you can make suggestions and comments. Maybe you've been here at some point. And but the way the tour is going to be structured over the next 30 minutes is I'm going to give you a bit of a presentation about my interpretation of the Blue Mountains and of my understanding of it. I have a beautiful guest speaker whom you're going to meet. His name's Peter Williams, and he's an Aboriginal. Can I call you an elder? Or you don't want to be old? He's calling himself old. You're going to get a beautiful interpretation of those Three Sisters behind me. So if you've got any questions at the end, then there's going to be time for that. So welcome again, everyone. The Blue Mountains. Can you see why? Can you see that blue haze in the valley there? You can see it beautifully today. I mean, this is like the perfect day to be here. The beautiful sandstone rock, and you've got the haze of the blue. Well, that comes about because of the eucalyptus oil. So when the sun touches the leaves, the oil evaporates into the atmosphere. And when the sun's rays come in contact with the oil droplets, it gives off a refracted light that appears blue to the human eye. 28 degrees, the Blue Mountains. Okay, let me start. Let me show you where we are in relation to where Sydney is. So to go from Sydney to where I am right now, Katoomba, you can see Sydney over there on the coast on the right-hand side of the screen. To drive here, you're going to go along the M4 motorway past Western Parklands out to Penrith. See the shaded area? That's Sydney, the greater Sydney metropolitan area. As soon as you get to the green bit, that's where you hit the Blue Mountains. You're going to cross the river, and I'm going to show you another map in a minute which shows you the Blue Mountains in more detail. And you'll start climbing. You cross Penrith, that's when you're officially out of Sydney and into the Blue Mountains. You're going to go up the Great Western Highway, we call this, is the main road to go over the mountain, and then you'll get to Katoomba, which is where I am standing at just near Wentworth Falls there. This is a better shot of the Blue Mountains in the way it's structured, so you can see all the plateaus. Well, the Blue Mountains isn't in fact a mountain at all, of a sandstone plateau, which has been formed more than 50 million years ago. And when you look if you travel, see where Penrith is on the bottom, on the right-hand side of the screen. If you just follow Penrith, that white road that's going up the Great Western Highway, you can see all the beautiful villages you'll be passing on the way up. And where you see the eye is Katoomba, where we are right now. And the Jamison Valley is in here, where we're standing. You can see Mount Solitaire right there. The Great Western Highway continues all the way over to the other side of the mountain, where you can see Hartley. But if you come back to Mount Victoria and go north up to Bell, this is the other way to go back to Sydney. And there's another side of the mountains that's very beautiful called the Bells Line of Road, which is largely farming. small hobby farms. People have their second homes there. And there's this great place called, organisation called the Hawkesbury Harvest, or the Farmgate Trail, and then something like over 150, maybe even more farms that are associated with this community. And at certain times of the year, you can go to their farm gates and they'll let you in, and you can go and pick things from their gardens and their farms, and you buy whatever you pick. It's very cool. So look it up. It's the Hawkesbury Harvest, the Farmgate Trail. You could probably Google it. And the highest point is 1,215 metres high, nearly 4,000 feet. Sorry, you want me to show sorry, my technical director's actually telling me to point the camera out there where people can see the mountains instead of the fence. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, Elder. But farming was very much, or agriculture was very much the first industry in the mountains until they discovered coal and shale, and mining industry took off. And then, of course, the railroads were built in the 1860s that allowed tourism to take off. But what would you do if you come up to the mountains? Well, you can go hiking, canyoning, camping, picnicking. You can go and visit art galleries, health retreats, spas, shopping in all the villages. There's hobby farms on the Bellslighter Road that I mentioned. You could just sit on a rock and chill out somewhere, or make it a day. But if I had the perfect weekend away, this is what I'd do. On Friday night, I'd leave Sydney and come up, check into your hotel at 4, go to a nice dinner somewhere. The next morning, you get up, you have breakfast early, go for a 4-hour hike. The Grand Canyon's one of my favourites. You can go to have a picnic at Govetts Leap Lookout. Then you go and visit a village or an art gallery. Then you go back to your beautiful hotel and soak in the bath and get ready for a beautiful dinner in a nice restaurant, a big boozy dinner. How fabulous. And then the next day, get up late, of course, go and have brunch, shopping in Leura. Oh,
yeah, it's been great. Lovely day. Beautiful. Just like down here in Albury today.
What's your other favourite lookout?
I love Govetts Leap, actually. It's over at the Gross Valley.
Yeah.
And looking into the Grand Canyon, that is definitely one of my favourite lookouts, yes.
Good spot.
Who named the 3 sisters? Helene. Who named them? Well, actually, I'm going to let my good friend Peter come on in now.
Everybody?
No.
Good. You can hear him okay?
Am I talking too soft?
Perfect.
Everything's good? Excellent. Thank you. Go ahead, Peter.
Well, my name's Peter Williams, like my good friend said. My people are from Western New South Wales. On my father's side, my mother's southwestern Queensland. Now, my mother's parents, one's from Northern Coast. Yeah, my father's mother's from the South Coast. So the mountain you see down the back, the flat top, is where her people start, the Tharawal people. Now, where we are in lovely Katoomba, this is probably the best day we've had in months. More like summer. As you see behind me is what they call the 3 sisters, which is actually the 7 sisters in the stories. The story of these mountains come from the Gundungurra people and the Darug people, and a bit of the story comes from down my grandmother's way, from Tharawal. So I won't touch on the story of the sisters here themselves, but the 3 big ones are the 3 older sisters. You have 3 little sisters, and on the far side, on the bottom of the valley, is the 7th sister. I think it was 1947, a lady came up here and declared it to be named the 3 sisters. Because it's obvious there's 3 of them. They didn't take into account the other 4. So the story for me I won't touch on, but the story starts northern New South Wales, around the Bundjalung country, and the story is also followed through the stars at night. So what we have here through the day is also through the night. Now, my cousin Kenny Gordon from Bundjalung was going on about the story years ago with my Uncle Paul. But the ladies, it's their pathway, following the lady stories, what we call songlines. The songlines unite us all over Australia. So we have our tribal areas, then we got the songlines. My songline goes from Western New South Wales, a little town called Byrock, and it goes all the way to Western Australia, across the top of Australian Bight. So that's all my songlines for the Go intersection. Now, that's taught to me by my grandfather. Of course, your father, he had a bit to do with you growing up, but as you know, fathers and sons always clash. But in the old ways, it was your grandfather who would teach you the languages for those tribal areas what you walk through. So the sister story here will be told all over New South Wales, wherever their songline goes from here. The songline for the Seven Sisters story in Grafton, the Bundjalung, comes down, heads a little bit out west, drops down, then heads across to South Australia. The ladies would walk that path, following that songline and that storyline. So that's a little about what I've got for you. My story, it's a bit different, our Seven Sisters. I can tell you better at night in the stars. Pleiades is the seven brothers, seven sisters, sorry, and Orion's the seven brothers. The seven brothers seen these seven beautiful sisters and wanted to marry them. The sisters did not want to break up their unity, their friendships, their love they have for each other. They didn't want a man to spoil it. So they asked Muka, who's God in my language, and Muka put them in the stars. So on the eve of when the big frost comes, Pleiades touch the top of our trees, and the sisters walk the land, and the big frost is their hair. Is left behind from the hair, which covers the ground as they walk. Then the brothers are always still chasing them. They come down later while the ladies are back up in the sky. So there's more in depth about it. That's the general story, what the men are given. That's more the lady stories, and I don't want to go that way. I'll talk about the men's story.
Safe.
That's a safer way. So yeah, if you got any questions.
I never knew there were seven sisters. I think that's really, really interesting. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Loved it.
Thank you, Sam. I love your background. Where are you? You look like you're in Fiji.
Today.
Oh, yes.
That's beautiful.
Sure.
Plus, Peter, with the songlines, do only the women create the songlines, or is it?
In the beginning, God and Mother Earth created the songlines. So the ladies have their own songline in certain areas for certain stories for the ladies.
Right.
And the men will go on songlines for the men.
So they'll never go on the wrong one?
No, because it was set down from the beginning.
Okay, that's...
So
yeah.
When God created our people, see, when you ask me a question, it's going to take a bit to answer. It's not an easy answer.
I love listening to it.
Well, you see all this here, plateaus, what Helen was talking about, created 450 million years ago. Well, you picture Papua New Guinea joined the top of Queensland, the Indonesians joined the top of Western Australia, Tasmania wasn't a lonely little island by itself. When everything was joined, Gondwana land, okay, that made up the continent of Australia before the big sections happened. The story I was told by my uncles was the rainbow serpent, in my language we call Wawe. Up the coast, my uncle there called it Yinangali. And down my grandmother's country, which I haven't learnt yet, more about her language, has a different name for it. But the serpent, the waves, all of Australia was flat, and the big waves would come and wash everyone away. So the people prayed to God, asked Muka, and Muka sent the rainbow serpent. Now the rainbow serpent split up in 5 different little eels, snakes, and it created all the Blue Mountains, all the Great Dividing Range, right up to Queensland, all the way down to Tasmania. And then when everything split, the story was separated. But today, that's why we have the Blue Mountains, the Great Dividing Range. That first story of preventing the wave washing away the country and the people, those eels, if you like, or serpents, created all the Great Dividing Range. So that's the big songline, which is done by the people of the coast and on the other side of the mountains. So they'll walk it, following different animals, different birds, the whale dreaming, which comes up from down Tasmania. So you got many songlines for many different reasons.
Thank
Beautiful.
you. Awesome.
And the song line.
And have you ever walked your song line, Peter?
Not with my hips.
Ah!
Sam's asking, do you have new song lines?
Well, to cut it funny, the new song line is what we call Toyota Dreaming.
I love it. Four-wheel drive.
Well, wherever the roads were built through the mountains and all over Australia, these roads were put on the songline sections of the walks. So the guys that Helen was talking about, the explorers, they should be renamed the guiders, because the people of the mountains guided them through these mountains, and they walked their songline with them, their family lines. So the roads are all put on those, and that's why you won't see many caves or engravings, because the roads have been over top of them and the houses are built on them. So that's a song line for you.
Wow, thank you.
And the biggest song line I know starts from West End Sydney, the Emu Dreaming, goes all the way through Western New South Wales, all the way to the Kimberleys, 25 tribal areas. So the Kimberley people have rights to this country. These people have rights to the Kimberleys. That's when these song lines are joined back up properly, which we're trying to achieve now, to take away from Toyota. So the old people, my Pakli Damu Paul and other elders across Australia are trying to rejoin these song lines. But it's a bit to do, because you've got the politicians, you've got the property owners. So property owners are frightened we're going to claim the land because of the scaremonger from the politicians. It's not true. We just want to join all the song lines and the stories so everyone can walk this land together.
Yeah.
Yay. I wish I could hug you right now. Damn it. Damn this virus.
Give me the hug.
Virtual hugs are good, Helen.
Yeah, well, I know.
No, I
even
found that absolutely fascinating. I love it. I love hearing that.
So we should all be together and joining it together and walking it together, instead of the black and white and all this other crap.
So with you.
Right.
Pakli Damu Paul said, my grandfather said that, people that are coming home to this continent for a reason, because life started here, not Africa. And I'll argue with any archaeologist, because I don't walk like a monkey. Everyone's coming home for a reason. Everyone that's born here has the right to learn the laws of this land. Everyone that's coming here has the right to learn the law of this land. And we should all walk together.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Sam's just asking a wonderful question. What can we do as citizens? What can we do to help make that happen?
Oh, geez. Get on tour with Helen and let's start it.
Yeah.
So the only way it's going to start is if we put our heads together with Uncle Paul and start the talks. And, the root of all evil today is money. And that's probably the biggest thing that's going to deter a lot of it happening. The other part of it is, I've got to say it this way, the only way I can think of, because of the white way. It's changed our people's thoughts, our ways of living, our ways of sharing. The owners, people that was here, created for this land, we're only the caretakers of our tribal areas. And these caretaking parts have the means to join up to all those song lines of the other caretakers. So with West End Sydney, they'll start there. The people of the Sydney Basin would do the songs first and the stories. We'd go to the next land, Radri, Gomeroi, Nyimpa, Barganji, Mudawadi, all the way across the desert. And each one would take a chance doing their song and story of that song line. And then each one will repeat their part to keep the connection going right through. A song line is not just walking it. It's about walking to these special places God and Mother Earth give us. And the stories that are created in the landscape or put in the landscape that you see today. We talk about law. The most important law of this land is the land. And we're not respecting it. We're to get back to it. Only way we can get back to it, this climate change things they talk about, it's only happening because of land clearing, pollution, look at the air quality since the aeroplane's been stopped, 10,000 planes a day.
Yeah.
And then this is just like a small glimpse of how it used to be when we walked these lands. You'd have 100-metre trees walking underneath them as you go through the landscape. So to start it all up, we got a little bit to do before we get to that. But if I'm to do it with anyone, it's Helen first. Love all yous. Let's get together and get this started.
Yeah, so good. We're in awe, Sam says. Every cell. Okay, we're out of time. It's now 4:30. Peter, thank you so much for taking time out and coming down and talking with us today.
Thank you.
It's just given us so much depth to this. I mean, you've got a beautiful place up here that you live in.
We've got the news stories, but they can never take away from the whole. So we've got to live together.
Yeah, that's true. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you,
virtual hug.
Thank you.
Thank